The interview with the newspaper's editor-in-chief tackled a number of files, among them the Egyptian-Japanese relations and cooperation between the two countries in settling international issues and crises. Details follow.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held an interview with the Japanese newspaper Asahi, one of the biggest and oldest Japanese newspapers, on the sidelines of the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to Egypt. The interview with the newspaper's editor-in-chief tackled a number of files, among them the Egyptian-Japanese relations and cooperation between the two countries in settling international issues and crises. During the interview, President al-Sisi stressed Egypt and Japan's keenness on boosting bilateral cooperation, hailing the strong relations between the two countries and cooperation in the field of development. The head of state also pointed to the ongoing coordination between the two states in the framework of Japan's presidency of the Group of Seven of the biggest industrial countries to find solutions for the dangerous international crisis. On top of them, the Russian-Ukrainian crisis, in addition to food, energy and funding crisis. The president also asserted Egypt's position towards the current crisis in the region, pointing to Egyptian foreign policy, which is based on refusing the intervention in other countries' affairs and respecting the principle of sovereignty and settlement of disputes with peaceful means. The president also presented Egypt's status towards the developments in Sudan, pointing to Egypt's efforts to achieve ceasefire and paving the way for peaceful dialogue and completing the transitional phase in order to protect the Sudanese people from the grave humanitarian threats of war.
Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said that directions by President al-Sisi since the start of the Sudanese crisis to all state institutions stressed providing the highest level of care and hospitality to Sudanese brothers. Shukri's statement came during a meeting with Ambassador Dafa'ullah Al-Hajj Ali, the Special Envoy of Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of Sudan's Sovereign Council. During the meeting, the Sudanese envoy delivered an oral message from the head of the Sudanese Council to President al-Sisi over the latest developments in Sudan. Al-Burhan expressed gratitude for the leadership in Egypt and for Egyptian people over the war. Welcome of Sudanese citizens fleeing war in the country. For his part, Shukri stressed stance towards Sudan and need to reach an immediate ceasefire and for all parties to commit to the truth. He said Cairo is keen to deal with the crisis in Sudan as an internal matter and stresses importance of international and regional respect of Sudan's sovereignty and refraining from intervening in a way that would lead to igniting the situation and shedding more blood. The Castal border crossing between Egypt and Sudan is witnessing a flow of buses carrying many nationalities into Egypt to be sent back to their home countries. The Castal border crossing is one of 3 evacuation points from Sudan to Egypt, along with the Arkim crossing and Port Sudan harbor. The U.S. State Department called on Sudanese Army and Rapid Support Force RSF to immediately cease fire and return to negotiations. Meanwhile, United Nations refugee officials said that thousands of refugees have now crossed from